Wine scores matter as much as us geeks, us wine purists, producers don't want to admit it. They do matter. We tend to forget that normal wine drinkers, people that are not crazy like us wine geeks, us wine professionals, don't have the time to sift through the hundreds of thousands of options out there. They're in there when they're going to a shop, a restaurant, they just have 30 seconds or so. They got to decide what they want to drink at a reasonable price. Wine is incredibly complicated. There's over 1,000 volatile compounds in a glass of wine. It's the most complex beverage on the planet. So yes, it is a crime to narrow this down and evaluate a wine by 2 numbers or 3 numbers if it's a perfect score. But not everybody understands the language of wine. They do understand a score, especially the 100-point scale that was made famous by wine critic Robert Parker. Because in America, at least, we're used to that 100-point scale for scoring in terms of school. We know that 80 points and above is a B, 90 points and above is an A. Yes, there is score inflation. Now it seems like anybody that doesn't get a 90 is disappointed if you're a wine producer, or nobody wants to drink those wines for the most part, which I think there's a crime. There's a number of brilliant wines I've tasted that have scored in the high 80s. You got to remember, with higher scored wines, they're usually scored based on aging potential and typicity of that specific region or grape variety. For instance, Barolo that scores really high is not going to be super enjoyable when tasted young because those tannins can just rip your face off. I've worked wine retail for about a year, and the thing that I've learned is scoring is incredibly important. We use scores on almost every single wine. People don't even care who's scoring. They just want an opinion from someone they perceive has better taste than them. Not only consumers that are more entry level, I've noticed collectors, if they're going to spend a lot of money on wine, they want wines that are scored over 95 points. While I don't think that scoring should be the end all be all as you get more experience with wine, I think you should start to learn whose taste you align with. You have certain critics that like bigger, richer styles, other critics that like maybe Italian wines, others that like French, others that like Napa Cab, some European critics that like leaner wines. Again, though, that takes a little bit of research. Not everybody wants that or is open to that. Most people just want to drink something that's good. The trend in the wine world is more easy drinking, more approachable wines, especially wines that are great young. And these are wines that I want to drink. Unfortunately, these wines are penalized in terms of critic scores. They usually don't get those high number of scores. I know generally with certain critics, if wines score in the high 80s to low 90s, and if I know the grape variety of the style, I generally know that I'm going to like it. Today, I'm going to do something interesting. I have 8 different wines, all scored by 8 different critics, both American and European. These wines from all around the world. I'm going to taste them, take good notes, reveal, and then compare the critic scores to my scores. I'm going to do something a little bit different with this episode. I'm not going to record myself tasting the wines. I'm going to sit down, use my laptop, take a lot of time with these wines, score them, and then we'll get to the reveal. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, the reveal's gonna get geeky. And speaking of geeky, if you're into wine, I want you to check out channel memberships. I have several tiers, but in the Grand Reserve tier, especially, I do a monthly live hangout tasting. We get together, talk shop, share wines. It's really hard to find other wine lovers in your life, and that's what this community is meant to do. I have perks for other tiers as well, and it supports the work I do here, so thank you. I was tasting some serious wine, so I tasted out my Spiegelau Definition Bordeaux glass. The wine showed well. They were all finer wines, got big time scores here. A lot of blends, although I have a couple of varietal wines. Funny thing is, I was not looking to see if I could identify variety. I was strictly thinking about quality. You'll see my tasting notes are a little more pragmatic compared to the critics' tasting notes. It's also because if you don't taste blind and you know what the wine is before time, you have context. You might have had history with that wine, history with the variety, history with the producer. I do think that adds a little depth. You have to remember that scores are just an opinion. Even my score is just an opinion. It's just a snapshot of a moment in time. It's not an end-all be-all when it comes to wine. Wine's always changing. Your neurology is always changing. However, as I get more into the wine world, I've been doing this for 10 years now, I do respect some critics that have been doing this for a long time because you have context. You have a bigger Rolodex of information in your head. I haven't been going to On Premiere in Bordeaux for the last 25 years. I go sporadically every couple years, but that's where the value of the professional opinion lies. But it doesn't mean that that critic's opinion is the gospel. It is what it is. Let's reveal some wines. I got all the tasting notes saved. Again, I knew what these wines were ahead of time. I Coravin them and had somebody mix them up for me. I had wine number 1 on my right, your left. Wine number 8 on my left, your right. Go in terms of my lowest scored wine to my highest scored wine. I did have all the wines over 90. Let's start out with number 3. I thought the wine was developed. I gave it 91 points. I'm going to reveal it, and then we're going to go over the critic score versus my score. 91 points for wine number 3. Let's take a look here. 91 points. This is the IXSIR Grand Reserve from Lebanon. 92 points, James Suckling. This is 61% Syrah, 39% Cabernet Sauvignon. This comes in at $35, 2013. I did pick out the development here. Let's see what Mr. Suckling scored. With Suckling, I usually say I take off 2 points. Here I only took off 1 point. He said, this is firm, very silky red with structure and length, full but tight and compressed, showing tension and freshness. Delicious now, about 60% new wood aging for a year, Syrah and Cabernet Sauvignon. 92 points. This is what I said. Development is the key thing here. It's the oldest wine, so I did pick that out. Mushroom and cigar box are accompanied by black cherry notes with a lot of earth. It's more medium bodied. It doesn't show a ton of power, but it is enjoyable. Soft tannins, 91 points. The soft tannins come from aging. That's why you age red wines. Usually red wines lose color with time and the tannins start to soften. So Suckling and I were only 1 point off. I thought there'd be dramatic difference. Lebanon actually has a long history of winemaking, so there are some wonderful reds there. I really like that what they do when they blend Syrah, Cabernet, and some Rhone varieties, like Muhr is a perfect example of that. One of the most searched wines on Wine Searcher. Lebanese wines offer really good value for money too, especially the reds. I messed up here for a second. That was my second to last scored wine, so I have to mess up. Wine number 4, I gave 90 points. So those are the 2 lowest scored wines here. I'm sorry that I messed up, but it is what it is. This is more savory, 90 points. Again, this was not on the border for me. I definitely thought it deserved 90 points. I didn't want to go to 89. 90 points. This is the Alois. This is a unique grape. This is the Trebulanum. Casavecchia di Pontelatone. Riserva 2017. This comes in at $50. Alois is a great producer in Campania in Italy, reviving some of these old varieties like Casavecchia. He's probably the flagship producer. There's only a handful of producers. It is a dark inky wine. It got 94 points from Venice, which is started by Antonio Galloni, who was a disciple of Robert Parker. In fact, he was primed to take over the Wine Advocate for a little while. And when he left, Robert Parker actually sued him over tasting notes. It became a big thing. But he gave it 94 points, and let's see what he says here. Camphor and mint nuances emerge from the darkly alluring 2017 Casavecchia Reserva Trebulanum. Coaxing brings together further depths of flowery underbrush, crushed stones, and musky blackcurrants. This is pure elegance on the palate, nearly creamy in feel, and tantalizing acidity and wildberry fruits that traverse both sweet and sour. A web of edgy tannin sneaks in through the finish. Previously cloaked by the 2017 sheer mass, as the Trebulanum finish is structured and incredibly long, leaving a violet floral and tart blackberry crunch. While painfully youthful today, I find it almost impossible to stop revisiting the glass. That's a pretty big tasting note by Galloni there. Or that could have been his guy that covers Italian wines for him now, Eric. But anyways, I put deep with a soy sauce component, so I did get savory. Cherry and black raspberry dominate the palate. He said blackberry. Lots of nuance here. The tannins come on a bit strong at the end, which suggests this could have a long life. And I have tasted this wine aged before. Last time I visited him was 2 years ago. He opened some older vintages, and it made me realize, wow, Casavecchia can be a great variety. Unique, but I was 4 points off Galloni. What do you think about my tasting notes? They're simpler compared to Galloni's. Let's go with wine number 6 here. I gave it 92 points. 92 points. Let's take a look. Okay, just had to make sure that this was the right one. 92 points for me. This is the Rémy Claret 2019. This got 94 points by Jeb Dunnick. This comes in around 40 bucks. Jeb Dunnick was also a disciple of the Wine Advocate. He was after Galoni. Robert Parker even said that Jeb reminded him of a younger version of himself. Dave Ramey is a specialist in Chardonnay, makes great Syrah and Pinot Noir. Let's see what Jeb says. I like Jeb. I've been in communication with him before. I think his scores for me are a tad high. He likes concentrated wines. Let's see what he says. 2019 Claret North Coast red wine is a killer value with great lift and freshness throughout. Made from 65% Cabernet Sauvignon, 10% Syrah, the rest Petit Verdot and Malbec. The majority of the fruit was sourced from Jericho Canyon. Pouring a youthful purple red, it is lifted with aromas of graphite, fresh black cherry, cedar, and pine needles. Full-bodied but lifted, it offers ripe tannins, fresh acidity, and notes of fresh red and black fruit, pressed flowers, and turned soil earthiness on the finish. It's drinking well now, but it's certainly worth cellaring over the next 10 or more years. It's a great value. Here's the thing. Sourced from Jericho Canyon. Obviously, he wasn't tasting blind. This is the context that these critics have because they know certain vineyards. I said pretty wine that has expensive wood. You can really pick that out when you taste a lot of wines. Cedar, blueberry, black cherry, and a touch of violets. Round and complete. This is a balanced wine, but I'd like a touch more length here. This is a crowd pleaser. I think everybody's going to like it. 92 points me. Generally, I take 2 points off Jeb Dunnick's scores. He covers mostly California, Washington State, the Rhone, Bordeaux. He's now expanded, brought on more people to cover more areas. Number 8, I gave 92 plus points. Let's see what it is. Let's see if I compare it to another critic. 92 plus points, me. Matthew Horsley, 92 plus points. This is the Bodega Garzon Balasto 2020 from Uruguay. This comes in around 140 bucks. This is a top wine. Bodega Garzon. I went to the harvest party earlier this year. Sorry, not last year. Uruguay really impressed me. The people are beautiful. The beaches are beautiful. Garzon, I know it's owned by a guy that has a lot of money. But man, it's maybe one of the most impressive wine estates I've ever seen. Their entire portfolio is amazing, even their lower level wines. I know this is their top wine. This is expensive. If you can't spend this much, I think their Tannat, their Cabernet Francs, their Marseillans offer good value for money. Let's see what Decanter says. Decanter is a publication that I feel like scores a bit too high for me. I never know who the critics are. I know it's a very famous, influential British magazine. I think actually the score inflation is higher in Decanter than it is over for James Suckling. 95 points. The 2020 vintage of Balasto is one of the most exciting since its inception in 2015. Original complex, it is rich, vivid, ruby red, and purple flecks in the glass. The nose presents fresh berries, graphite, licorice, cassis, and pencil shavings. The palate is savory, with a velvety feel and fine tannins before the long floral balsamic finish. A summer of significant temper variations provided Hermann Brutzone with a high-quality fruit for this blend of 42% Tannat, 39% Cabernet Franc, 19% Petit Verdot matured 20 months in untoasted barrels. I do know Hermann actually had lunch with him at the harvest party as we opened in Old Balasto. I think that's maybe the 15 or the 16. Here are my notes on this. Earth, chewing tobacco, black cherry, and a touch of meat. Full-bodied, and the wood stands out here, but it's well done. A spike of intensity comes out here in the mid-palate. Chewy tannins that coat the mouth, but have plenty of fruit. Long finish, 92 plus points. So, 2.5 point difference. Good wine. Is it worth the price? That's up for you to decide. When it comes to wines that start to get into the triple figures, a lot of it's supply and demand. If it's small production, the production cost, what the producer can charge, the market determines that. So that is what it is. I really dislike when people say, is it worth it? Wine, especially when you get to finer wines, it's just like a luxury good. It's really subjective. Do you want it? Do you have a connection with that wine? If so, it's worth it to you. Wine number 2. I don't know if this wine will score really high for a lot of people, but I really loved it. So let's take a look. Wine number 2. I gave it 93 points. This is the Dorli Muhr Carnuntum Ried Spitzerberg Kranzen. This is 2021. This is 100% Blaufränkisch from Austria. Carnuntum, close to the border of Slovakia. It used to be known for white wines, but there are exciting Blaufränkisches being made. Again, I liked it a lot. More medium-bodied. And I know this comes from a scorer that I do not understand her scores at all. This was scored 18 out of 20 by Jancis Robinson. Jancis, you're probably not watching. I like you. You've always been really kind to me, even when I was just starting out in the wine world, but I'm sorry, I do not understand your scores at all. Let's take a look here. Crimson and smudgy rim, a touch of smoky reduction, what seems like a little bit of oak spice, although it may be the site Muhr is not known for obvious oak. As it opens, wild sour cherry freshness, a suggestion of stems. Captivating on the palate, the dried, chalky, and fine tannins, elegantly and firmly structured to shape the fruit. Mouth-watering finish. This has the ingredients for a long life, even though it's relatively light-bodied. 18 out of 20. The reason I don't understand Jessens Robinson's scoring, she gets a lot of wines that are 15, 15.5 out of 20. I feel like almost every wine gets that, which on her scoring site says it's average. 18 is a cut above superior, so it's pretty high-quality wine. I gave it 93 points. Again, here's my score. I said red plum, bacon fat, cedar, and a touch of bottle development. Medium body and delicate with a spine of great acidity. It's not a powerful wine, but it's delicate. This is the type of wine I love. Medium bodied, but with complexity. Not the highest scoring wine, but the wine that brings me a ton of enjoyment. 93 points. This comes in the USA around 40 bucks. Blaufränkisch is not a grape to sleep on. The Austrians are really kind of claiming it as their flagship variety, even though there's more plantings in Hungary where they call it Keck Frankosch. I even did a video about Blaufränkisch versus Keck Frankosch. Woo! It's a grape that you need to check out. I like it. Wine number 7, I gave 93 plus points. Some banger wines here. Let's see what it is. 93 plus points. Me? Let's take a look. This is, wow, wine that maybe I haven't been the fondest of in the past, but it's good. This is the Purple Angel by Montes. This is from Chile. I will be in Chile probably when this comes out. It's my first time going to the country. I'm going to spend 9 days there, so I'm like super excited. This is 92% Carmenere, 8% Petit Verdot 2020. This comes in at 105 bucks. This got 93 points Wine Spectator. It also got 98 points James Suckling. And Wine Spectator, a publication that claims they taste everything blind, I do notice that their scores are usually a little bit more tougher. So it says here, opens with an elegant array of fresh raspberry, pink peppercorn, and river mint flavors before turning broad. Vanilla bean and cassis notes cling to a richly textured blackberry core that lingers around the fine tannins, echoing back to the core flavors and adding notes of dark chocolate, Carmenere, and Petit Verdot. Drink now through 2034. 93 points. Mine says flint and wood come together here. Black cherry, mushroom, and a touch of cotton candy-like flavors. This is seamless on the palate. It might not get the highest scores, but it's a wine that's easy to drink with a lot of complexity. Long finish, 93 plus points. It's not often that I score higher than critic scores. So I feel like, again, there's point inflation scores across the industry. I thought it was a really good wine. 105 bucks, not cheap, but I think it's a very nice wine. All right, the top 2 wines here. These did very well by my calculations. 94 points for wine number 5. 94, so serious score here. You gotta be kidding. It's one of the cheapest wines in the bunch, and that's the power of blind tasting. This is the Wente Mount Diablo Highlands Red Blend from the Central Coast, 2021. Wente is still family owned, does great inexpensive Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. This only got 90 points, Wine Enthusiast. This is a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Petit Verdot, Merlot, Barbera, Tempranillo, Cabernet Franc, and Malbec. This comes in at 20 bucks. 20 bucks. So I price quality. Once you get to a certain level, if you know what you're looking for, price and quality doesn't have... There's no relation. And Wine Enthusiast is a publication I poo-poo on for their critic scores. I don't know who's scoring a lot of times. Sometimes I feel like they are way too high, like 3 points too high. Let's see here. Shocking. I just knew when I did this blind tasting. This was the ringer I put in that I thought, man, this probably maybe will not get 90-point score. It's the power of blind tasting, man. When you do blind tasting, you take all the prejudice out. It says, this useful wine starts with aromas of blackberry, jammy black cherry, and wood spice loaded with acid and sharper in texture. The palate delivers fruit flavors of red and black berries. 90 points, Wine Enthusiast. Simple tasting note. Here's my tasting note. I said perfume, black raspberry, and mocha notes. Lots of development and nuance here. This is a subtle power, and there's a spike of intensity on the mid-palate, long finish. Not a blockbuster, but it's something I really love. 94 points me. I did know when I tasted it, I know it was not going to be the biggest critic score because it's more of a medium-bodied wine. This is the type of wine I'm going to enjoy. If you want Napa Cab or something like that, you're going to go with something Purple Angel, Balasto. this is not your type of wine. You want big bombastic wines. If you like me, something with more nuance, I think at 20 bucks, this is a heck of a wine. A heck of a wine. Good job, Wenti. Good job. Okay, my top wine, I gave 94 plus points. Let's take a look here. It was really good. This is the Orma from Bulgari, Tuscany. This is the 2021, a blend of 50% Merlot, then Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc. This comes in at 70 bucks. I did a video on an older vintage once because I do believe that this is an affordable alternative to Casavecchia. You get the same flavor. This was awesome. And look here, Wine Advocate gave it 95 points. They say the 2021 Orma is rich, heady wine, succulent, dark red plum, spice, new leather, mocha, and menthol are nicely laced together. This sumptuous, flamboyant wine offers a tons of immediacy and overall appeal. I agree with the immediacy. It's drinking well now. I gave it 94 plus. I actually wanted to go even higher, but I thought, man, this is the first wine. Maybe I should be a little bit more critical. I said nose of cherry, violets, earth, and a touch of bacon fat from expensive wood. I knew there's expensive wood there. I could smell it. This is ripe and ready to drink now with smooth tannins. It's full-bodied but not massive. The length here is utterly impressive, and fine-grained tannins stretch out the finish. 94 plus points for a relatively affordable Super Tuscan. Relatively affordable in the world of fine wines. So tell me, have you tasted any of these wines before? Do you have a favorite critic? What do you think about critic scores? What do you think about my scores? You can be judgmental. It's all good. And I'll see you soon.